guys, and welcome back to another video. This is officially like my fourth take of this video. You can see how I'm going insane a little bit. But this will be a soft-spoken story time. Our first official story time. Like official, like I'm sitting and telling you. I've probably done some mini story times inside of other videos. If you haven't seen my videos, you should really watch, or at least attempt to watch most of my videos. They're really interesting because I don't label whether I talk in them or not most of the time. And sometimes I tell some of the strangest stories in there with them. You should watch. You're missing out. But in a previous video, I brought up how I was thinking about doing a story time on the first Thursday of each month, which will be today, or you're watching it on the day. I'm going to film it whenever I have time to film them, but they will always be up dependably on the first Thursday of each month. It doesn't matter if it falls in with my other schedule, which I film naturally I post every other day. I film constantly. That's yeah. Well, you guys knew. But, I post every other day. And so, regardless of whether it falls behind a day where I just posted, I will still always post on the first Thursday of each month a story time. And I know I've been gone, and so this is probably like completely out of the blue for a lot of you guys who regularly watch my videos, which I completely appreciate if you do, that you're not bored with me yet. But if you regularly watch my videos, you notice that I've been gone. I needed time to personally get to a good space with myself, and I just need to take a little break. I'm going to try to slow roll it back into my regular schedule without pressuring myself to do it, just so that I can make sure that I'm still good. Because if I'm good, then my content is good, which we all know, based on the views, it can't be all that great. No, she's joking. But welcome to our first story time. And as you can see by the title, our story time today is My 3-year-old Doesn't Talk. Which is true and not true. But I'm basically gonna explain what that means and how this conclusion came about, and how I'm going to try at the end of every story time, I'm going to try to explain what the relevance of the story is, because I'm not going to tell a story and it has absolutely no relevance to you getting to know me. And yeah. Okay, so welcome, mommy kitty. And sometimes we'll have a snack, sometimes we won't. If you don't like eating, trust me, I'm not doing a mukbang. I don't have anything against mukbangs. I like different stuff. It depends on the person. I'm not a huge eating person, but hey, I might have a snack. It has nothing to do with sounds. It simply is because I like to eat. I'm not having a snack today, even though I am hungry. But this particular story time needs all my attention. So, my daughter is 3 years old. And she's incredible. I know everybody says that about their kid, but my kid is a bee's knees. So my daughter is speech delayed. And what that means is that she basically just isn't where most kids her age are as far as speech goes. She doesn't say as many words or isn't as understandable as most kids her age, which in my opinion before this, I didn't think most toddlers were very understanding or understandable at all. Like, most toddlers just kind of ramble. That was just how I always pictured it, but I don't have any other kids other than this one. It's my first go around, so I'm learning as I go. Mind you, when I was pregnant, I read a lot and I took I didn't really take that as many classes as I wanted to take. The further in pregnancy you get, the more tired you get. But I did a lot of reading and research all on my own. I also asked a lot of questions, and this was one of the things that I think I was completely blindsided by. So I took my daughter for her 3-year-old checkup, and they asked a lot of questions, and they had me do a questionnaire basically to rule out autism and anything deeper, I guess, which based off of the questionnaire she is behind, but they don't think that there's anything else, I guess, wrong. I don't think there's anything, I don't think, like, if your child is autistic or anything, I don't like to use the word wrong, but they don't think there's anything that is, developmentally the reason why she is having trouble, basically. There's nothing medically, quote unquote, wrong for why she can't speak like a typical, or why she isn't speaking at the rate of a typical 3-year-old or even a 2-year-old for that matter. She had this appointment when she had just turned 3. She was only 3 for a couple weeks to a month, I think, when she had her appointment. And I'm gonna let you know now, as a mom, that I was just like, this was a lot to expect for somebody. They were just expecting her to be able to do all these things, and I'm like, she just turned 3. I don't understand. And I'm a firm believer, and I don't think the doctors know everything. Most of these doctors don't have kids, and there's only so much that a book can teach you. You don't really know what it's like to be a parent, or to parent, or you don't really understand kids until you've been a parent, in my opinion. That's just my honest opinion, because I personally thought I knew a good little bit about kids before having a kid, and you really don't until you have a kid. That's no shade to anybody, but yeah, I mean, stick to what you learned in school, but I just don't. There's only so much that somebody can tell you, and just looking at your kid, they can't really just tell you, hey, this is this. You get it. But basically, after I finished this questionnaire, while doing this questionnaire, might I add, I started to feel all types of pressure. I have pretty much taken care of my daughter solely on my own. I have been with her since the moment I had her. I've been with her since she's been with me. So, if you know what I mean. It's just, we have been one. And so, when she's behind, or she can't, or someone says that she's not doing something, or she did something wrong, or I take that personally, just because, I mean, you learn from experience, and her experience is me. So, I know a lot of people are like, you shouldn't take things personally. I took it personally. Because I think my daughter is great. But don't get me wrong, I wasn't completely naive to the fact that I knew that it was a worry of mine, because I knew that that my daughter just wasn't progressing like other kids. even with kids rambling and, speaking and, gibberish, I guess you can say, they go in and out of actually being legible and just not, which is what makes them so cute. But it's not the case with my daughter. It is now. She has progressed tremendously since her appointment, which I will update at the end. But at this particular time, she couldn't really vocalize most things. She can't tell you when she doesn't feel good, or she can't say most words, even easy or quote unquote easy words. She can't. And it's as if you can see them churning in her head, as if in her head it all sounds exactly like I'm speaking to you now. 3-year-old edition. But once it leaves her mouth, it doesn't come out that way. And that has been sorry guys, back. But basically, once you can see it kind of her processing the words in her head and having full conversations. And to her, I think it is just that, like, she's having a full conversation and she's like, I know you can understand me, Mom. And most time I don't. I've gotten a lot better. We've gotten a lot better. But again, I will update you at the end. But she just can't. And because she can't speak as clearly as most people, because she can't do those things, she's behind in the sense of everything else as well. She doesn't learn things as other kids do, I guess. I don't really think you should compare kids, because I think all kids are different. But realistically, like ABCs and numbers, she learns them differently, because speech is kind of a barrier for that. What we don't realize is that when we're younger, we learn things based off of saying it. We don't remember that clearly, but once you can say something, from there you learn, or you want to learn what it is, the meaning behind it, or, it's just, if she can't say basic words, sorry guys. If she can't say basic words, then she can't honestly try to learn the alphabet. Like, how can you process the alphabet when you can't? You're trying to say you're happy and you can't. I know it all sounds difficult, but speech delay is actually a very common thing that I think a lot of parents don't know about it enough to I don't know, to accept it, I guess. They just assume it's just their kid being a kid, or which is what I did at first. And the older that May is getting, my daughter, it's starting to become obvious that it's something a little bit more than just being a toddler. So I'm just checking to see if my mic is staying lit, guys. Sorry. But at her doctor's appointment, they started throwing out these things. Mind you, they kept saying that there's nothing, she seems fine, everything seems fine, and growth and everything. They assured me that everything was fine, but they just kept talking about speech therapists, and she aged out of a certain program where they would have one come to the house, and it went on and on and on. And mind you, that I kind of clocked out at some point during this appointment. Like, mentally, I left the room. Because the one thing you don't want to hear as a parent is that there may be something wrong with your baby. I don't know a parent in the world who wants to hear that. And that's all I heard. Once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. And it's as if everything started to get really quiet for me. It's like May is like moving around, and she's just, and it's not like I can ask May I'm not gonna ask my kid not to talk. Like, if she wants to talk, she loves getting to know people. It's just, and unfortunately, most people can't understand her, but she just talks to you as if she's having a regular conversation, because to her she is. And sometimes I want to shelter her from people because of that, because I understand it. And there are some people who don't question it when she does try to speak to them. But then there are others who are ignorant. And I don't mean ignorant isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means they aren't very educated on specific things. And there are certain people who will make comments and say things and ask things that just, in my opinion, are not very appropriate to ask. And there's nothing wrong with being curious and wanting to know, but I feel like there's a time and a place for that. And a lot of times, I feel like people will cut you off. They'll cut my daughter off just to ask a question, or if they want to know, or because they don't understand it. Or they'll cut her off in the middle of her talking to them, and they'll ask me, what did she say? And I hate that. I hate it. It upsets me so much, because she's speaking to you. And if you don't understand what she is saying, that's fine. But don't cut her off and ignore her because you don't understand what she is saying to ask me what she is saying. It just, it's almost the same as like with like infants, when they just kind of babble on and we just kind of talk to them anyway, like, yeah, you know, the typical baby talk. Excuse me. And I feel like it's basically the same thing. Even if you don't understand in that moment, there's a way you can handle it other than just cutting her off. But I digress. So yeah, my daughter is speech delayed, and because of that, she doesn't learn things in the typical sense that most toddlers have learned things. She does not, it's not so much that she doesn't know. She knows a lot more than she is able to vocalize. But unfortunately, that's just going to take time. And I feel like to a certain degree that over time it will get better, but it won't ever actually go away. It's always going to be a little bit of a struggle with teaching things. And who's to say that my daughter won't be at Harvard someday with the best of them? Okay, it's not an intellectual thing. With the best of them, as in be at Harvard, as in speech wise, but it's not an intellectual thing. There's nothing wrong with her learning. It's just a matter of we don't understand how much we learn based off of speech. And May is a testament of how much we learn based off of speech. And she is just getting better and better each day. But at the time it was scary. I struggled with it tremendously. I cried and cried and cried, and I cannot tell you guys how much I cried. I cried until I was dehydrated. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And I can laugh about it now because I think it was ridiculous how much I cried. Because she's great. She's healthy. She's growing at a good rate. She's a little bit underweight, but that is because my daughter is one of the strange toddlers in the world who prefer water over juice. She does not take in enough calories, I'm guessing. Not to mention, I mean, I think she does. She just moves a lot, which is what her doctor said. She's pretty active. So, but not by much. Just a little bit. Other than that, she's great. There is just this one little thing that seemed like a huge thing at the time. And the more I tried to process it and understand it, the more I kept thinking what I did wrong. What did I do wrong? When I was pregnant, maybe it's because I did this or I ate this, or you'll be amazed at some of the strange things that I came up with. It was ridiculous, to be honest. Let me just say. It was honestly ridiculous. Some of the things that I came up with and some of the conclusions that I came up with for why my daughter is speech delayed. But I feel like this is a typical parent or parental worries, is if I don't think I reacted any differently than most parents would, to be really honest with you. I felt like a failure because I've done flashcards with my daughter. I was working with her on colors and writing and all these things, and because I did not know this one thing, I felt like that's why none of those things were working. None of those traditional methods of how preschool teachers or anything teach kids was working for May, is because of this one thing. And so since then, we have figured out different methods and different ways of doing things. And I noticed that May loves to make words that she'll give things a different name. And so we basically, in our house, have just adapted to the different names that she gives things, and we understand what it is that she wants. I also let people who come around her, which isn't too many people. I don't like to, this particular issue is why I don't like to have a lot of people around her, and it's because of the statement earlier of people asking questions at the wrong time. Or asking questions that I don't really think need to be asked. I mean, I wouldn't walk up to someone's kid, or if someone's kid spoke to me, because May typically will speak to people. If someone's child spoke to me and I couldn't understand them, it wouldn't be first instinct for me to cut them off and to say, what did they say? It just rubs me wrong. It doesn't. I'm in the moment. Your baby's talking to me, I'm talking to them. Okay? We're having a conversation. It doesn't matter what they're saying. We're talking. But it doesn't work like that with everybody, I noticed. But yeah, we've learned different methods for how to teach her things, and she comes up with her own words and we understand them, and that's really all that matters. That's really all I tell her every day, is that as long as I know what she is saying and she knows what she's saying, who cares if nobody else knows? And that line of thinking is what's helping her learn how to say things and understand them based off of being able to say them. It is incredible how much she knows how to say now versus months ago. So the things that she's just gradually clicked onto, and yeah, it's incredible. There are methods to teaching speech delayed kids that help them verbalize things a lot better, and we do those as well. But I just try not to put as much pressure on her, which is something that I had to learn. I think as a new parent, the world puts a lot of pressure on us to just as a parent in general, puts a lot of pressure on us to make sure that your kid can do this or do that. Is your kid potty trained by this time? Or do they do this? Or can they hold their cup? Or do they eat with a utensil? Or they put a lot of pressure on parents to do things by a certain time frame, and it's not realistic. Everybody's kid is different, and every kid will learn things at their own pace. Don't pressure your kids or feel pressured as a parent to do anything on a time frame. There's nothing wrong with your child. None of that. It just comes as it comes. Some kids are stubborn. Little buttholes. It just... that's just what they are. That's just what they are. They learn things as they go. So, like I said, May's progressed tremendously. Colors and numbers and being able to say the numbers and counting her hands and mind you that I never really put two and two together. Besides her speech, May learns things like a champ. Like potty training wasn't that big of an issue. She was hard-headed. Like I realized that pressuring her into it just wasn't something that needed to be done. But my daughter's been basically using the potty since she was 1. It just doesn't, it never really was a hard thing. Eating with utensils and eating on her own and using a cup, all of that stuff just kind of came naturally to her pretty quickly. I was a little surprised, to be honest with you. And I'm proud of May. I think that's the one thing I need to say more than anything is that I'm proud of her. And what happened at her last doctor's appointment, I'm sorry if you guys can hear my cat. What happened at her last doctor's appointment will not happen again, where I shut down and I felt like a failure as a parent. It won't happen again because I know that my daughter is capable of doing and learning any and everything. It's just going to take her a little bit more time than it does somebody else's child. And who's to say that somebody else's child isn't taking longer than she is? It's just life. But it was hard in the moment. It was hard. And I wanted to share this particular story because there are so many other parents out there who are dealing with it and going through it, and they don't have anyone to relate to, because I felt that way, and I found so many other people who felt the exact same way. And there's nothing wrong with your child. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just life. Who's to say that some of us weren't speech delayed and it just wasn't as progressed as it wasn't a thing so much when we were, younger, I guess. But that's that. I will hopefully, now that you guys have a better understanding of my daughter, I will hopefully have more videos with her so that you guys can hear just how smart she is. What she is. And I'm not just saying, I know everybody says their kid is smart, but no. Okay? My daughter, I'm not trying to give her a complex, so I try not to tell her this all the time. I feel like when you tell your kids that they're like, you're so smart all the time, sometimes you can give them a little bit of a complex. Or when you tell your kid that they're perfect all the time, it gives them the complex of thinking that if they're not perfect, that something is wrong. Or if they do this, that there's going to be something wrong. Or if they fail, that there's something wrong. And it's good and bad. Either way, I feel like my daughter's a genius. An evil genius. Very much evil genius. She gets into things and she puts things together like, when I tell you, she ain't nothing to play with. My daughter does some stuff that I'm still trying to figure out how she came up with that. And it grinds my gears. You watch Family Guy? Grinds my gears. Some of the stuff she does, I'm just like, girl, I'm about to ship you somewhere. Like, start all over again, okay? Throw the whole baby away. No, I'm just like, no. My daughter's great. She's perfect. Couldn't be better. But it sucked. It really did. But I hope that my story reaches somebody who's also going through it and know that there's nothing wrong with you There's nothing wrong with your baby. It's just life. And I understand exactly how you feel. It sucks. It's just life though. And they will learn it and understand it and get it at their own time. And that is all you can do. Even preschool teachers will tell you with children that are speech delayed, they will learn and process and understand things at their own rate. There's no reason. Sorry if you guys can hear my daughter in the back playing with her toys. There is no reason why you need to rush into it. So don't. Don't. There's no reason. You're doing great. If no one has told you, I'm here to tell you that you're doing great. And it's going to be okay. I tell myself this all the time. Because it's true. It's going to be okay. Being mom is fun. Okay, so either way, thank you guys for watching, and these story times will get better. I'll figure out a system that makes them a little bit better, but if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you know that I'm all about mom life. So I hope I covered everything in here. It was kind of hard to get a little deep into what I felt in the moment, just because I don't really want to relive it. To be honest, it took me a while to get out of it, and I'm finally out of it. A lot of my story times will be quote unquote sad or happy or funny, depending on the person, I guess. But there's a reason for every season, and I dealt with it in that season. So don't expect me. I'm not sad about it. Even if it's a sad one, I'm not sad about it anymore. I dealt with it in its season. It's over and done with. I'm just sharing it now so that you guys can better understand me. This particular story time gives you a good insight into my mama bear mode. I'm super protective, and yeah, I'm just straight mama bear all the time. When I really care about people and I love people, I go into mama bear mode. I don't care if we weren't talking for years. I'm still in mama bear mode as soon as I see you. It's just how it is. But I went in even more mama bear mode with my own kid, and that's just how I am now. This particular situation has made me become more of a mama bear than I even thought I could be, just because I try to shelter her from people, and people being hurtful, even if they're not trying to be hurtful, even if the intent isn't hurtful. I just try to shelter her from some of the cruel things that people can say. And I know I can't do that forever. I know at some point she's going to go to school, and I can't do it forever. But for now, I will try. And on that cue, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.